It's going. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Get this protein shake rocking. Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's 9 a.m. out here on the Best Coast. It's time for my protein shake, time for my coffee. I am having a fantastic week so far. I hope you are too. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. I do this every single Tuesday. Go live for 1 hour here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Let's see if we're streaming on TikTok. I'm trying to figure out this whole TikTok game. See if this is working. You tuned in. I hope you're having an excellent week so far. I don't think it's working on TikTok. Don't think. But that's okay. I don't really care that much. What's up, Anthony? Hope you're having an awesome week so far. Happy Tuesday. We're going to get right into it. If you're tuned in, say hello in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. This is Claims Recruiter Office Hours. I do this every single Tuesday. Totally open format. So the whole goal here is to help 100 people get jobs in the insurance industry in 2026. We are up to 28 so far. A long way to go. We're past halfway through the year. I'm convinced we're going to get to 100. I know it looks crazy, but that's the goal. If you're here, oh, there it is. There it is. We're working. It's working. Yeah, that's the goal. But anyways, we're going to pop right into it. I got some trending topics to start off the live stream, and then we go into just kind of questions, things that if you want to come into the chat and get a free resume review or talk about interview tips or whatever that might look like for you. We're here. We're here. And that's the whole idea. Build community, hang out, chat with other claims professionals. Whatever that looks like depressing music in the background, something a little more upbeat. But thanks so much for being here. If you're tuned in, my name is Josh. It's been a crazy couple weeks for me personally. Spent the weekend in Lincoln, Nebraska, where my youngest sister got married. So congrats, Anna and John. I know you're both tuned in here on this beautiful Tuesday after your wedding. Beautiful wedding, incredible time. Got to see some family and friends. Awesome time in Nebraska. And later this week, we're headed out to Los Angeles, the city of angels, to visit one of my favorite clients, and to we'll enjoy the Los Angeles Rims Summer Mixer event. Beautiful event. I'm really excited for it. I have not been to Los Angeles Rims yet. I've been to some other Rims events here in Oregon, a couple in Washington. So heading down to Los Angeles, Santa Monica on Thursday. And then we'll be back in Portland this weekend for the best event of the summer, the Rockstar Energy Open. Skateboard competition right down on the waterfront, where some top skateboarders in the world will be competing right here in Portland. You'll find me on the VIP Tower event of the summer. So yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy summer. Good summer. Can't wait to go to LA this week. But let's get right into it. Again, if you're tuned in, I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Say hello. Hello, hello. Okay. What's trending? He's stretching. That's what's trending. Ugh. So I'm a recruiter. This is what I do for a living. This is how I feed my family. And I talk to candidates a lot. And I also talk to other recruiters and hiring managers and kind of everybody in that whole system. And one of the things that I hear consistently from all parties involved is that like the online job boards are a terrible experience for everybody. And so I did a little experiment the last 2 weeks. I have a job that I'm actively recruiting for, and I put $500 in sponsorship dollars on Indeed.com, and I am here to give the results of what I found, and then kind of talk about what that means for companies and also job seekers alike. But basically, I my opinion is not hidden. I don't like to use that word. I hate Indeed.com. It is the worst experience literally for everybody, but I can't stand Indeed.com. But this particular role that I'm recruiting for right now, a lot of times when companies come to me, they already kind of, you know, they do some recruiting, it doesn't work, they need help, and so then they call me, you know. And so a lot of times by the time they get to me, they've already posted jobs online. So I don't really post jobs online. I post jobs on my website. I make posts on my own social media and my own LinkedIn, but I don't necessarily go out and post jobs in the traditional sense, like Indeed sponsorship ads, LinkedIn sponsorship ads, Monster.com, whatever the other job board websites might be, ZipRecruiter, whatever it is. I just don't really do it. I do things a different way. I headhunt and go out and find people, basically outbound messaging, cold calls, all that fun stuff. I find it way more effective. That's me personally. So this particular role that I'm looking for a claims manager in the state of California. It's an on-site role. So a couple things: being geographically strained was one thing, and then the company that I'm working with didn't post it. They don't have really like an internal recruiting team, and so I was like, you know what, let's try this out. It kind of makes sense. Let's try it out. So I put $500 on Indeed.com. I gave it a budget of $500. Okay. In the job description, very short. I don't believe in long job descriptions. I believe kind of short, succinct, to the point. Talk about the role, talk about the company, be honest, say what you need. Not a lot of fluff. You don't need to talk about pizza parties, you know, just be honest about it. One of the qualifications is 8 years of claims handling experience. I need somebody who can step in and manage a small team, but also hold some files, right? So it's general liability claims for the most part, some property claims as well, but general liability claims. This person is basically going to hold the most complicated and the litigated and the ones where they've retained counsel, all that. So this person, it's not a want. I need somebody who knows how to handle a general liability claim, who's very good at it and has experience doing that, specifically claims that have gone to court, specifically in a state that's very difficult to handle claims. And so that's very, very specific experience that you there's certain positions where, yeah, you can kind of train people up, and there's certain positions that you can hire for potential. This is not a position where you can bring someone in with little to no experience and can kind of cross train someone maybe in a different. There's certain, yeah, if someone worked as a risk manager and, you know, like that kind of makes sense, but I need someone who can basically step in and handle claims, but also manage a small team of people who are also handling claims. So that's the qualifications. That's the bar of like what we're talking about. Now I want to go in here. I obviously can't show you because it's people's personal information and I wouldn't do that. But I'm gonna just go over the applications that I've received, and let's decide here together maybe if this was worth it for me, or like if this is bearing any fruit. Okay, so if you're just joining and if you're just tuning in, I spent $500 on Indeed.com looking for a claims manager, someone with 8 years of claims experience. And this is what I got. Secretary. This person, the most recent application is a secretary at a, I shouldn't say too much information because I don't want to dox these people, but secretary. Interview them. Gate installation and maintenance engineer. Gate installation and maintenance engineer. Billing and coding specialist. Billing and coding specialist. Customer service and data entry. Oh, this is my favorite one. This is a good one. Claims analyst and risk management. And then claims investigator. Okay. Interesting. Look at the resume. Very good resume. Okay. I went to this person's LinkedIn. Totally different job titles. All different job titles. Same companies listed. Nothing claims related. So, but this person, I mean, they must have gone to AI, put the job description in, put their resume in, and had AI create a resume specific to the job, because their actual job titles have nothing to do with claims, insurance, risk management, any of that stuff. I could keep going on. I could keep going on. But what I'm getting at here is I'm paying $500 to get resumes basically that have nothing to do or have no qualifications, not even close to what I'm looking for, like the bare minimum of what I need. And it's just like I lit that money on fire and threw it in the trash can. And to kind of go back to it on the other side, or if you're tuning in and you're a job seeker listening, one of the things I hear a lot from job seekers is like, I'm applying, and I'm not hearing anything back, or the companies don't even get back to me, and the companies are ghosting me. And I guess like my perspective is, these applications deserve an email back immediately saying you don't get the job, right? Like, and are they going to be upset about that? Are they going to be, oh, it's the ATS? No, it's not an ATS. It's not a robot. It's you. If you're applying to jobs that you have zero qualifications for and then complaining online when you're getting rejections back immediately, it's time to try a new strategy. And I made a TikTok about this last week, and I got a ton of hate on TikTok about it. But I will die on this hill. And I don't think this is the average job seeker, and this isn't really necessarily people that I talk to, but it's a lot of the negativity that I hear online in terms of like recruiters and like, especially on TikTok, it's like, oh, recruiters are the worst, and the AT, it's like, this is kind of the flip side of that, is we're trying to do our job. We're trying to do the best thing we can. We're not trying to be mean to people. We're not trying to like burst anyone's bubble. But if you're applying to a job that says you need 10 years of experience and you have 0 years of experience in that field, you can't be upset when you don't get the job. And that's kind of what I see in terms of Indeed.com and some of these other platforms. And that's why I don't use them, frankly. This just kind of like reiterates that fact that I think it's pointless and it's worthless and it's just a waste of money. I've been in recruiting for about 10 years. If we include some of the hurricane deployments that I've worked on and I've been a part of, I've been a part of hiring close to probably about 2,000 people in my career. And I can honestly say that I can trace one hire back to an Indeed ad. One person that I know of back to an Indeed ad. And so if you're a job seeker tuning into this, my advice or what I would say to you is, it's not about numbers. It's not about how many jobs you can apply to. It's not about applying to 100 jobs a week. There's probably not 100 jobs out there right now that you would get. And the average job gets like 200 applications. So you have to think, if I'm applying to a job and there's 200 other applications, I need to be in the top 1% of that application to even have a chance, or the top 3% of that application to really even have a chance. And so really it's about alignment, right? You need to find jobs that you truly qualify for and that they want someone with your skill set. And if you're not finding jobs like that, you need to kind of look at your skill set and your qualifications and then maybe see if there's things that you can do to better align yourself with what employers are actually looking for. And it's not a numbers game. Applying to jobs is not a numbers game. It's an alignment game. So that's my tip, and that's kind of the takeaway here is, one, if you're an employer out there and you're putting money in Indeed.com ads, I'd love to hear from you to see if you're having a good experience with this. But my takeaway here is, employers, I think, or at least from my experience, and again, I'd love to hear from other people, so pop it in the chat if you use Indeed.com or if you've used it to get jobs. But I don't think employers are having a very good time with this. I think it's a lot of wasted time of sorting through resumes, and the hit rate of finding someone who's actually good or qualifies is so... And you're going through hundreds and hundreds of resumes to maybe get one, where you could better spend your time doing other things, like just doing active headhunting, like finding people on LinkedIn, going in forums, asking for referrals. All that stuff is gonna be better than posting and praying. But if you're a job seeker, it's about finding jobs that you're aligned with, but it's also about having genuine conversations with other human beings. It's not about trying to beat this imaginary ATS that's filtering out your resume. That's not actually happening. It's about finding jobs, finding people, finding hiring managers, finding companies that align with your skills, your values, your qualifications, what you bring to the table, what they bring to the table, and aligning that together. And that's really at the core what the talent acquisition, what the hiring process is about. There's not good candidates, there's not bad candidates, there's just alignment. And that's true. All these people that apply to this job, I'm sure, are fantastic people. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great people. They just don't have the skills or experience to do the job that we're hiring for. And so that's the takeaway. That's it. But yeah, I don't think these job boards are working for anybody. I think there's just so many better ways that you can spend your time as a job seeker or as a hiring manager or as a recruiter than lighting your money on fire and putting it in Indeed.com. So that's what I did last week. I lit my money on fire, stuck it in Indeed.com, and now I get to complain online about the poor results. And I'll make some fun content about it, probably. Maybe this week I'll make some more videos and talk about it, but that's my experience. So what do we do instead? Conversations beat applications all day. We'll get into that later, and I talk about this all the time. Conversations with a real human being is going to be much better for everybody in the long run. So that's what's up. Let's see if I'm live on TikTok here. I'm trying to see if I can read comments live on TikTok. I don't know if I'm live or not. I'm not sure. But yeah, if you're tuned in here, thanks so much for being here. It's a beautiful Tuesday here in Portland, Oregon. We are hanging out live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook for the next hour. Would love for you to say hello in the chat. Say hello if you are here. Love to hear from you. It looks like my nose is bleeding. No, it's just the shadow. Awesome. Awesome. Well, say hello in the chat if you are hanging out. Try this again. Try this again. And again, this is, what's trending. Your resume is not the problem. Your resume is not the problem. We'll beat this dead horse today. Job boards are broken. It might be the problem. Truly, like, you should have a good resume, and I don't want to say that, like, you shouldn't spend time building a resume. You shouldn't put energy and effort into that. It's part of the deal, and it can help give you opportunities. And sometimes what I ask people for is like, hey, send me your resume. Because I do want to know, and it's the easiest way to to kind of showcase really quickly like what your experience looks like. And so I don't want to say, you know, don't spend time on that. I think you should. Um Okay, it says we are live on TikTok. I don't know how that works. Whatever. Um But okay, what else we got? What else we got? What else is trending? How recruiters actually use AI. So that's one of the big things I hear all the time is like, oh, recruiters have this magical ATS that automatically, you know, picks who gets interviews and all that. Not true. Again, I will put this challenge out here. I will give the $500 that I spent on Indeed.com to you if you can find me an applicant tracking system that auto rejects candidates without a recruiter's oversight. If you know of a platform that does this, that is mass produced and sold and built as an applicant tracking system, show them to me, please. Please do it. I will. $500 will come your way. That's it. There you go. If you can find an applicant tracking system that is currently on the market, software that's being sold to companies that automatically denies candidates based on criteria that you select. And I'm not talking about a knockout question. I'm not talking about a yes or no question that says, do you have this license? And then if you say no, I'm talking about something that scans your resume for keywords and picks it out because it didn't have the right keywords. If that exists, show me. But how do we actually use AI? I'd love to kind of talk about some of the things that I use AI for. AI tools that I use, a lot of times it's like Claude or ChatGPT to kind of just make my life easier. So one of the things that I use it for is like content generation. Basically, my content structure, I produce a lot of content. I produce 50 to 60 pieces of content a week across like 7 platforms. I come up with most of this on my own. I don't use AI to generate post ideas. Basically, what I'll do is I'll come up with the I have like a 3-page worksheet that I fill out every Sunday. And I go over, basically, I build the podcast. So I fill out this worksheet, things that I'm working on. I put in DMs that I receive, questions that I get from people, things that I'm working on, things that are relevant in my life, topics, what's trending, news articles, TikToks that I like. I build this worksheet out. And then I build out my podcast structure, which is this. And then I use Claude to basically suggest how to break that down into different posts, whether it be on TikTok, whether it be on LinkedIn, whether it be on like Twitter, whatever it might be. And so that's one way I use AI. Another thing I use AI for is helping me build resumes. I've got it down to a science, right? If I'm submitting a resume to a client, I'm typically doing it in my own format, even if they send me a pretty solid resume. And so I'll use Claude I built a skill on Claude where it's like, this is how I want the resumes to look. Here's the framework. Here's how the bullet points should go. Here's this. And so I'll use Claude to help me kind of build those resumes sometimes. That's another thing that I use AI for. I also use AI when I'm building like candidate presentation packets. So I'll build like, I'll put all the information into Claude, and then I again have a skill that will like help me build that presentation packet that gives me a description, that gives me a small thing that puts, just kind of builds all that. So that's another way. I would say the biggest thing that recruiters are using AI in right now is sourcing. And that's actually going out and headhunting or finding people online. And so this is where the biggest takeaway, I guess, for you as a job seeker, if you're tuned in, is recruiters use sourcing platforms, AI tools very heavily. And it's one of the biggest things that I see every day online. And so like I'd sit here and say, don't keyword stuff your not to not keyword stuff your resume, but it's like you don't need a section on the top that says keywords where you just put 100 keywords. Or I see things like In white at the bottom so it's invisible, put a bunch of keywords. Like that stuff is like you were putting keywords. Like if I'm searching for a resume online and I'm searching for claims adjusters, I might put claims examiner in. You don't need a keyword on your resume somewhere under keywords that says claims examiner, because you have the word claims examiner on your resume if you're a claims examiner. So I'm not saying don't put keywords in there, but the keywords will naturally fall into what you're doing if you're building your resume correctly. That said, I highly recommend using the keyword section on LinkedIn. And here's why: is these different sourcing tools like pin.com, like Juicebox AI, like Apollo, like ZoomInfo, all of these are scraping LinkedIn as a platform for keywords. And so if you're trying to gain visibility online, it is beneficial for you to put keywords in LinkedIn and to put your job description where it goes, and to build a good bio, and to make sure that your employment history is listed effectively and cleanly on LinkedIn. That is all very, very smart to do, because all of these sourcing platforms that different companies are utilizing or selling to me or in my DMs every single day trying to sell me, that's how they search. They're scraping LinkedIn for all these keywords. So when I go in and I'm a recruiter and I'm looking for a claims manager in California, I put a geographic filter on there and then I'm searching by keywords. And so on your LinkedIn page, you want to have all that stuff, because that's how you gain visibility. And then the other thing, second thing here, is it's really important to have your privacy settings set. And I know people don't like being public at times. And again, you're going to have to make this decision on your own. But having a public LinkedIn profile is you're going to get found a lot more if it's hidden behind a bunch of paywalls, because those sites have trouble sometimes getting behind some of those paywalls. So if you're private, you know, pin.com, I don't know, and I don't want to misspeak for them specifically. I haven't used their product. But you know, these different platforms are like, even if you just go on Google and use Boolean phrases, if your profile is set to private, it's going to be harder for some of these platforms to search and for recruiters to find you. So that's how we really use AI. Some of these sourcing platforms finding you, not denying your resume, but use LinkedIn to your advantage. Use the keyword section on LinkedIn. Make sure your job description is filled out. Build a bio, all that stuff. That's going to help you so much more than stuffing keywords into your resume and mass applying on Indeed.com to jobs that you're not qualified. That's what's up. That is what's up. If you're just tuning in, thanks so much for being here. My name is Josh. I am a recruiter in the insurance industry. This is my weekly live stream, the Claims Recruiter Office Hours, where I go live every single Tuesday, 9 a.m. on the Best Coast, 11 a.m. Central Time. And it's my goal to help 100 job seekers find jobs in the year 2026, and we are calling it the Road to 100. And so this is the section of the show where we get to hear you winning. Shout out people live. Shout out a couple people this week. We got Barry and we got Joy Lynn, both starting new jobs. Shout out to both of you crushing it in your careers. Congratulations on the new job. Love to hear you winning. And if you're tuned in right now and you're crushing it, I want to hear from you. Or if you've been able to learn something from this live stream or my content or whatever that looks like, if I've helped you get 1% better and you land a job, I want to hear from you. It's not just about people that I place directly, although we will add those as well, but it's just people that tune in and listen to the show. So if I'm able to help you at all, love to hear from you. I want to hear you winning. Shout out Barry. Shout out Joy Lynn. Congrats to both of you on your new positions. Quick little update. Last week we talked about Pacific Northwest fires. It has been crazy in the Pacific Northwest. It's been crazy. Um, it's been crazy. So big fire in Spokane, Washington. Got a lot of media coverage. Pretty crazy fire. It's now under control, but incredibly sad. So thoughts and prayers to anybody affected by the Spokane fire. Really, really horrible, horrible, horrible. About 700 homes destroyed, 700 structures destroyed, about 70,000 people were evacuated. It sounds like people are starting to get back in right now, but just a really horrible situation. Started by arson, started by somebody intentionally, been arrested. It's just a really, really horrible, really sad. Ooh, it's heavy. And close to home. So anybody in Spokane, thoughts and prayers your way. Portland, we had no fires here in Portland, but we had kind of the remnants of the Grasshopper fire kind of near Mount Hood, on the other side of Mount Hood, where it's still burning. It's still burning. We don't have smoke anymore here in town. We had air quality index got up to about 170 last week here in Portland. So, I was personally affected just by that, having some respiratory issues from that. It felt like we were waking up, you had a headache, it's just the air quality it felt like you were smoking cigarettes almost. So, while the air quality in Portland has improved, that's very good. There was a haze over the city for a few days and you weren't supposed to go outside. The air quality has improved. However, the fire now is, instead of pushing westward, is pushing east. So shout out to all the firefighters, the law enforcement, the forest fires, the wild, I guess I don't know what you call them, forest firefighters, all the people, law enforcement, dealing with that, helping with that. Shout out to you. But yeah, still very bad fire season here. It's the worst ever recorded fire season. I'm not sure the exact statistic, but I think at this point it's over 2 million acres have burned in Oregon. A lot of factors involved there. One, there's forests here, lots of forests, and really high winds last week, and so kind of all that stuff. And then the drought, I guess this past ski season, we talked about it a lot. Not a lot of snow, not a lot of rain this winter, and so dryness with heat in the summer. We knew it was going to be a bad one, and here we are. So, but that's why we do what we do. At the end of the day, when those people get back to their home and they see everything's destroyed, the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to call their insurance company, and then an insurance adjuster is going to go out and meet with them and help them rebuild their lives. And so if you're one of those adjusters and you've done this, you kind of know there's no words that can explain that feeling or having those conversations or doing that work. And so shout out to you. That's the why behind why we do what we do. We get to help people build their lives. I know insurance gets a bad rap online, and there's a lot of negative stories about insurance companies online. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're helping people build their lives back after catastrophic situations. And it kind of shows the importance of having insurance, why insurance is so important, why it's such a good thing for people. It allows, nobody has enough money sitting around. Most people don't have enough money sitting around in their house to rebuild their home, whether that be a large hail event or a fire. And so, the whole idea of insurance makes a lot of sense. The rainy day fund, for if something catastrophic happens, and we pray that nothing catastrophic like that ever happens to us, but in the event that it does, it offers protection, financial protection, to make it so it's obviously devastating, but it makes it maybe a little bit less devastating for people. And yeah, obviously, man, deep stuff. But that's why we do what we do. So shout out to all the claims adjusters. If you're out there, if you're heading up to Spokane, be safe up there. It's heavy stuff. So, okay, moving on. Whew. Got me tearing up. Moving on to the next part of the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. It is Tuesday. We do this every single week. Take a little break here while I drink some of my protein shake. Got my BPN protein here, banana mix, banana French toast mix with some yogurt, some milk, and some creatine. I have one of these bad boys every single day. 50 grams of protein before noon. Fired up. Let's go. So yummy. 50 grams of protein in this bad boy. Again, if you are just tuning in, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. I go live every single week. Right here. I'm trying to see if it's live on TikTok. I have no idea. I'm trying to go live. I don't know. But this is the part of the show every single week. Just open format. If you're tuned in, if you're working on getting a job, if you're working on trying to improve your life, you're working on your resume, any questions, you can send them to me. Well, anonymously on LinkedIn or on my website, claimsrecruiter.com. Otherwise, you can pop in the chat. I've done live resume reviews. We can chat about particular situations, or I go through my DMs and I put some of my DMs or things that I've heard past week here, and we kind of talk through it. The whole idea here is if you have a question, if you have a problem, if you're facing something, chances are there's somebody else on planet Earth who could also benefit from the same information. And so I might not have the answer. Trying to build a community here of people that can help each other out, and so you're tuned in too. We'd love to hear your perspective on whatever this is. But yeah, here we are. So anyways, I'll get on to it. There's some questions and things that I see from people throughout the week. And if you've got questions, you want to chat about something specific, drop it in the chat. Would love to hear from you. Got coffee in one hand, protein shake in the other. There's no way for me to drink this without getting a milk mustache. So maybe I'll just do this next segment with a massive milk mustache. Here we are. Oh man, I've applied to hundreds of jobs and I'm not getting any traction. Can you help? You've come to the right place. What to do if you've applied to hundreds of jobs and you can't get any traction. The best thing, in my humble opinion, as someone who's been doing this for 10 years, who works every day in recruiting, who feeds their family by helping companies hire people, the number one way that people find jobs is through referrals and through meeting people through their network. I don't know the exact statistics. I've looked at a couple studies. There was one study that said 70%. Other study said 4%. I don't know exactly. I am not going to pretend to have numbers. But what I will say is that the most effective way to get a job is to network through. So the advice is not go network. right? That would not be very good advice. I want to give specific actionable things that you could do on a daily basis that can help you network, but ultimately meet people, can refer you or introduce you to other people to help you on your job search. So one of the things I would do is continue looking at job boards, continue looking at LinkedIn, continue applying to jobs online. But that should not be the only strategy that you employ to try and get employed. Okay? A couple other strategies that I would highly recommend that are specific to the insurance industry, but also could be used in other industries as well, is one is connect with people on a human level without an ask, right? If you're connecting with people and you're just reaching out and saying, hey, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? You're not going to have a very good response rate. But if you connect with people and say, hey, it's been a long time, we should totally catch up, that's gonna bear more fruit than hey, I need a job, right? And so the first thing I would recommend to anybody who's found themselves unemployed potentially or is starting to look at other jobs is to kind of map out your network and start reaching out to your old coworkers, to your old boss, to your old supervisor, to even people that you maybe had small relationships with, and just have a conversation, hop on a phone call, go get a coffee, have a quick voice. It doesn't have to be this big like ask or it can just be like, hey, it's been a long time, we should chat. And then go get a cup of coffee and see how their life is going. And then you can obviously talk about yourself and say, hey, I'm kind of starting this process and I'm trying to kind of explore what's out there. Have you heard anything? Do you know any cool companies that you'd recommend? And start there. The ask is not, can you help me find a job? The ask is, there is no ask, right? It's just connect with human beings. I'm going to an event this week at RIMS. I'm going to Los Angeles. I'm going to this RIMS event. And my goal at this event is to make friends. I'm not trying to find my claims manager in California, although that would be super cool. I don't really think that's going to work like that. I'm not trying to go find my next client at this event, although that would be really awesome. That's ultimately the goal, right? I want to find more clients. I want to find more candidates. That's the goal. But my strategy is not to go to this event and find clients and candidates. My strategy is to go here and have genuine conversations with other claims professionals that are in the industry. And if that helps me get to those goals someday or down the road, that's the idea. But it's not going to happen like that. I'm not going to show up to this event and like shake someone's hand and be like, oh, you're my next claims manager. But that person might know my next claims manager. I'm not necessarily going to straight up ask them. But it's just that funnel, it's the sales funnel, if you want to look at it like that. Yeah, my goal is to go and meet people and make friends. And I firmly believe good things will come from that if I'm just genuine and honest and act like another human being and learn about someone else's situation, learn about what problems they might be facing, learn about what their goals are. That's my goal. Show up, listen more than I speak, and make some friends while I'm there. And I think good things will come. And that's what I would recommend, I guess, to a job seeker in this situation is like networking doesn't have to be with an ask. It can just be meeting cool people and learning about their situation, learning about their problems, learning about what they do every day. They're going to try and learn about you. And in the meantime, friends help each other out, right? So that's what I recommend. So go to where those people hang out. I think Rise Insurance Professionals is a fantastic place to go to do some of these things. And that's one place that I'd really recommend, which is online and it's not in person. Although they do really cool in-person events that you can go to. It's a really great place to network. Maybe you go volunteer. Maybe you join a committee. I met some really cool people just by joining a committee. Do I want them to hire me? Sure, that'd be awesome, but that's not why I joined, to go in there and try and get them to hire me or try and poach them from their job. I joined because I want to go be around people that have similar goals, that work in the same industry, and that are kind of like-minded. And I think good things will come from that. And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. But I didn't join Rise and join the careers committee and start hitting people up and start being like, I want to recruit you, or your company should hire me, because that's kind of what I would recommend in terms of like networking is reach out to your old network. Go get coffee with people. Go catch up with people you haven't hung out with. There's no ask, but just make friends. And then join professional organizations like Rise, like RIMS. Go to conferences if you can. Meet people. Also join internet forums. Go to claims adjuster forums online. Start commenting. Start joining online community. Start meeting people that way. I've met some really awesome people just by networking online, joining Discords, Facebook community, Reddit even. All those things can assist in your job search. And it doesn't again, it does not have to be I need job. It's just I want to make friends. And then all of a sudden you meet someone and it's like, oh, I can connect you with this person. You are looking for a job, and I actually know a company over here that can help. Like, let's make that connection. And so good things will come. It just does take time. And again, continue to look at jobs, continue to apply, but don't just spam your resume. Don't spam that easy apply button, because it's not going to get you anywhere. And it's just going to make you upset. So I've applied to hundreds of jobs and I'm not getting any traction. Can you help? Change your strategy. And apparently on TikTok, that is controversial. But it makes perfect sense to me. Again, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. I'm your host, Josh Fisher. We are hanging out on this beautiful Tuesday, having a fantastic day. We are having a wonderful Tuesday. If you're here, tuned in, I would love to hear from you. Say hello in the chat. Say hello in the chat. We're going through questions. This is what we do every single week. Totally open format. If you've got something you want to talk about, or an issue, or something in your life as it relates to job seeking, or working in insurance, or leveling up, or just being an awesome person, or marathon training, whatever it might be, what we do. We're 51 minutes into the stream here today. We got about 10 minutes left. How do companies find people other than job boards? I talked about this a little bit already. The number one way that companies find you is through your LinkedIn. It's such a powerful tool. There are other ways that companies find you. Most of these tools online. There's different platforms too, like GitHub for tech people is huge, and some of like those type sites. But in terms of like the insurance industry specifically, LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tools. And the reason LinkedIn is one of the most powerful tools is because the information that you input into LinkedIn is different than all the other platforms. So when you're putting in your previous job history, your job titles, the dates of employment, that information isn't accessed in other places. And so not only on LinkedIn specifically, people pull, or like I can purchase LinkedIn Recruiter, which I do, and then I can search on your keywords. You can also search through other platforms that scrape LinkedIn. And so all of these platforms, all these AI systems that your recruiters are paying for, it's using LinkedIn as a base to get, they're getting information from other platforms too, but it's mainly in LinkedIn. So whether these recruiters are on LinkedIn, specifically, or if they're using other platforms, other products, these products are scraping LinkedIn. So, Boom. So that's one way. Another way people do it is through referrals. Referrals is a huge way. I ask people for referrals all the time. Sometimes I connect with people on LinkedIn and just ask them for referrals. Hey, I'm working on this position. If you know anybody, that'd be great. My thing as a recruiter is I want to find someone that makes sense for both sides, right? I have to sell this job. I'm in sales. I work in sales. And at the end of the day, I'm convincing someone sometimes to quit their job and go work at this company. And if I don't think it's a match, then I'm not doing my job right? If I'm just trying to fill the position, but it's not really a match for that person, I'm not doing anybody any justice there. And so if I'm reaching out to you or a person online and talking about a job or trying to pitch a job, it's because I don't necessarily know that all up front because people don't put their salary online. Obviously, the other things have to make sense, but I'm trying to find someone who it genuinely makes sense to make the leap or to take the jump or to do the different thing. And it aligns with not only their like financial goals, but also their career goals, where they want to be, the culture of the company, all that stuff. And so people who know other people, it's a really good way to meet people. And yeah, referrals will always be the number one source of the best way to find people ever. Will always be referrals. You cannot convince me anything otherwise. So let's see what else we got. We got about 5 minutes left here in the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you've been here, if you've been tuned in, if you're still here, if you're still vibing out. Looks like we got 1 million viewers, close to 1 million viewers currently. Hopefully we hit 2. Say hello in the chat if you're here. Would love to hear from you. My company has open roles, but everybody is applying is unqualified. What do we do? Again, this is the theme of the week. Job boards are just dead. They don't work. If you're a company out there, you do want to leverage your internal job board, right? When I talk about job boards, what I'm really talking about is external job boards. I think what companies should do is try and build their website and their internal like careers page as a magnet. You want people that want to apply to your company. You don't necessarily want people that want a job. And so what you could do is you need to build a company that people want to work for, and then you need to talk about that online. So when I say job boards are dead, I'm more talking about like Indeed.com or LinkedIn.com, where people are like scrolling remote jobs and hitting apply for every single one. But what I'm not talking about is your actual company's website where you have a job board. And so that's what I would recommend is like building a culture that you stand by and that you believe in and that you're proud of, and then talking about it on different platforms. Talk about, highlight your employees who have grown, highlight people who have had awesome career paths, highlight, your winners. Talk about those people online. Talk about your top employees. If you do cool employee engagement stuff, if you offer really good PTO, if you have great benefits, if you have great pay, talk about all that stuff online. My wife's work recently, they gave everyone a 6% raise out of nowhere, which is pretty weird, right? Not a lot of companies just like, everyone gets a raise. And they're union too, which is even more weird. They just went through a pretty like starch like negotiation period where the union signed a contract. There was talk of a strike, it didn't happen, but they signed the contract, and then 3 months later, the company gives everyone a 6% raise. And I said, you should like post that online. You should go it's like, you think that'd be weird? Like, you're trying to hire people, your company's having a hard time hiring people. Why would they care if you got online and said, hey, my company pays me really great? I don't know. I told her, she at the end of the day, she'd probably ask her boss, right? She's going to talk to her supervisor, make sure it's okay. And I don't know if she'll post or not, but why wouldn't you want to advertise something like that? Hey, we just made a market adjustment. We wanted to make sure our people are fairly compensated, and we gave everyone a 6% raise. come work here. It's a great place to work. We pay better than all the competitors. Like, so those are the types of things, like, I think companies need to talk about what they do well online and showcase that. And also, one of the things, I have this book right here. It's in my other bookshelf. The Robot Proof Recruiter by Katrina Collier is a very good book that I read about a year ago. And one of the things they talk about in that book is empowering your managers and your supervisors to be visible online and to talk about themselves and to talk about their company and to talk about good things. And so that's another thing, is empower your people to talk online. I think a lot of people are really scared to go online and talk about their jobs and talk about their situations because they're worried that they're going to get in trouble. And I think creating a culture where you empower your people to talk about what it's like to work at your company online is going to be really good advertisement for your company. But a lot of times what I see is, like, you'll see a company go out of nowhere. You'll see like 25 posts. It's like, oh, we're hiring. And then you'll see these posts. It's like, oh, you should come work here. It's a wonderful place. And it's reactive. And so I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do. It's a good thing to do. And you should ask your people to like repost and to get referrals and have like referral programs where maybe you pay your employee $500 or something like that if they refer someone to come work there. But don't just do that when you have an open job you need to fill. Do that all the time. You want to be promoting that all the time. Having your people talk about what it's like to work there. You don't force them to do it, but just encourage it and give them frameworks to do it. So those are some things that I would recommend for companies. And that's a lot of what I do. Is I talk about, that's why I have this podcast, or part of the reason that I do this live stream is, I want people to know that I help companies hire people, and I'm a legitimate place to, if I'm reaching out to you and you're just seeking a job, that you'll respond to me and that we'll have a conversation, and that even if you don't get the job, or even if it's not aligned, it's still worth having that conversation. But it's all part of kind of the marketing plan and the business development plan, especially when I'm trying to market towards candidates. So doing things like that, yeah, have your company have a podcast, but there's lots of things that you could do. There's lots of different strategies. And I think it's not just one thing. It's doing a lot of things in conjunction together and having a plan, having a strategy. And if your strategy is, when I have an open job, I post on LinkedIn, I post on Indeed, call you boy, because we got a better strategy over here. But truly, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a ton of that goes into being a good recruiter, or being, having an effective talent acquisition plan. And if you're struggling with that, it's a good time to maybe think about reaching out to a recruiter, or at least having a conversation. I just kind of talked about this, but yeah, what does a recruiter even do? I think the biggest job of a recruiter is to gain trust with people, gain trust with the hiring managers, gain trust with companies that are hiring me, gain trust with candidates that I'm speaking with, gain trust with, everybody. It's a trust game. Trust that I'm not going to, leak their information to their boss. Trust that I'm worth the time to have a conversation. Trust that, I understand this industry, but that's what a recruiter do. Is at the end of the day, we try and help companies make smarter hiring decisions, and we try and eliminate parts of that job that companies dislike. Help make it easier. I think it's really, really tough industry, just like everything else right now. It's really hard. It's really competitive to find kind of the top people, and so. Most hiring managers, most claim companies, most hiring leaders that I speak to don't really enjoy spending hours on LinkedIn, going through profiles, reaching out to people, sending messages, connection requests, cold calls, text messages, emails, getting rejected over and over and over and over and over. Most of them don't enjoy that work. Fortunately for them, this guy does, and so that's what we do. Is we build a brand that people recognize. We put ourselves out there on social media. We try and gain trust from hiring managers and candidates alike, and then we go out and find people that makes sense for companies to hire within their budget and within what they're looking for, skills and qualifications and culture. A lot of sales, a lot of rejection, a lot of sourcing, a lot of cold calls, a lot of social media, a lot of podcasts, a lot of market research, lots of conversations. And hopefully at the end of that is one yes and a signed contract and a new employee. So that's what we do. That's what we do. It's wonderful. You want to be a recruiter? Hit me up. They're hiring, but I can give you tips, point you in the right direction, show you some companies that might be. So that's it, y'all. That is the end of the hour. We're 5 minutes over. We've been live for an hour and 2 minutes now. If you're still joined, if you're still tuned in, you've made it this far, thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a wonderful Tuesday. I've had a great time here. A slower Tuesday on the podcast. As always, we end this live stream talking about the goal, the road to 100. No new additions this week. But hopefully there'll be some next week. So if you're a job seeker, if I've helped you in any way, shape, or form, 1% get better, and you've helped you land your job, I want to hear from you. Send me your win. We'll shout you out live on the show. That's it. That's it. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be here next week as we do this every single Tuesday. Live, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Have a